Alright everybody, hello and welcome back to the King of Dota League. Tonight it's Team Dilecom up against Elite Wolves in the semifinals to decide who will go on to the grand final to face KOD Desuni. Of course, I'm SB Revolution 5 for Truesight TV, joined here by Llama Down Under, otherwise known as Llama. I know that's a shocker that would be the short version of that name, but...
I didn't choose Down. It's amazing.
Yeah, Down would have made so much more sense.
Yeah.
Be more memorable too, but... Anyways, it's going to be an exciting match tonight here, Llama. We actually don't have it on Dota 2 Bestial, though it looks like they forgot about us, and sad day,
either way, it's still great. I'm excited for this match. Last night's matches were really great, and I believe afterwards when we interviewed KOD, they were more worried about facing Dilecom, just because they've played them before and had a rough time. But either way, we've got some interesting... bands.
I think these are fine. They're different, but the question is now, does Leshrac or Gyro stay in the pool?
Yeah, I think they'll ban out the Leshrac. He's just a lot...
Oh dear.
You know, you can't know if your opponent is really strong with him.
Llama, I'm going to have to be right back. You're going to be solo casting for a moment. I'm sorry about this. I'm glad it's now, though.
So, yeah, I think... they'll probably ban... Oh, they banned the Doxia. Both Leshrac and Gyro are going to make it through the pool. Dilecom maybe has a player who's done really well with Doxia, or maybe it's just that Elite Wolves doesn't want to deal with that. I can see not wanting to deal with the Doxia being picked up, but instead they go with the Tusk. Will Leshrac even be picked? Winter Wyvern is still in the pool as well, so Elite Wolves have some really great options. Winter Wyvern, Naga Siren. Naga, a really great way to counter the Tusk, although I don't know if she's considered a first-round pick. But as we mentioned, Leshrac, Storm, Lina, Winter Wyvern, Bounty Hunter, all still in the game. So we'll see which ones of those actually get picked up here. And it could just be that simple Bounty Hunter who can get you so far ahead, you know, against the opponent's team, even when the opponent's team is doing super well. So
reserve time.
We will see. And they're taking a while. It's pretty standard to take quite a bit of time on this pick, just because there are so many powerful heroes left in the pool.
Yeah, Gyro and Leshrac weren't, like, removed from the game or something, were they?
No, I imagine what's happened is they have a player probably on Dilecom. They've played some great games with Doxia. We've seen a lot of great games with Doxia this tournament. And I think it's a case of E-Wolves saying that they are much more comfortable not having to fight into that Wombo combo. And instead, Bloodseeker, we hadn't even talked about him yet. I find he's more often a fourth or a second round pick or ban. But yeah, Bloodseeker, they've still got the Wyvern, as you mentioned, Gyro, Leshrac. There's a lot of good, strong heroes. And the Bounty Hunter. Bloodseeker Bounty Hunter can be a real pain just because they can be that mobile ganking team and who picks up a lot of gold.
Yeah, and Elite Wolves, this is probably more a comfort hero for them. Even if Leshrac or Gyro gets picked up, I mean, sure, the extra 40% damage you're going to take is a little bit of a problem. But in the end, he's a really good aggressive hero who comes online far before they could dream of coming online.
Winter Wyvern.
Yeah, they decide to go for the Wyvern, which is
A little
pretty
surprising.
Yeah, I think she's a really great pick. There's a lot of things she can do. You know, if the snowball comes in, she can immediately grab them all, right? With that Winter's Curse, assuming she's not the snowball target. But I think part of the issue that I'm wondering about is this leaves them open to pick up that Gyro, and Gyro does have a lot of magic damage early, which kind of negates some of the value of that Winter's Curse. Now, Gyro not going to make it. They're instead going to go for a right-clicking Storm Spirit, who... he has a good mix of, he's not super nerfed by the Cold Embrace, because his physical damage is mostly done, actually, by his magic buff. But, still kind of wondering how those other considered OP heroes get through. And we're going to see more of them, because Viper is banned.
Yeah, it's just like, maybe they got together before and they said, okay, on Honor Code, we're not going to pick Leshrac, we're not going to pick Gyro, we're just going to leave them out for this game. We're going to give them a nice... game without Le Balance Space Scope Man, or whatever you're calling him these days.
a Viper, we've seen E-Wolves run a very effective Viper strat, if I recall. They played one where it was just a very relaxing game on their end. The Viper, they really, their opponents didn't have a good answer to the Viper, and he was able to farm unobstructed and became such a nuisance where they had to send 3 or 4 heroes to kill him because of Viper's natural tankiness with his corrosive skin, and then also he picked up a mech. That basically they were wasting all this effort on a Viper who wasn't dying, and then the rest of E-Wolves would come in. So I think that's why that particular ban is coming out. And TA is also a pretty standard ban if you know that they have a player who plays well on it and you don't want your mid to lose.
Yeah. It's definitely the kind of thing you have to ban out against Leo style, because we've talked about him, or excuse me, if you are Leo style, you need to get that ban out there so that they don't have a TA to put up against you. You already are a very good player, but you have to be careful. If you're not careful, TA will really just turn the game around on you, and they can't really afford to have that happen. So,
yeah, and the gyro does end up getting banned out by E-Wolves, which should make their life a little bit easier. But there's still stuff like Alina, right? They can run the Storm as a carry and run the Lina mid, and then that also does some damage to Wyvern's usefulness.
It's a surprise that we haven't even seen Lina touched at this point. I mean, we're basically saying there's 13 heroes better than Lina at the moment, so I don't know.
It also depends on playstyles and so on. I think there could be an element of E-Wolves feeling comfortable playing against those heroes. You never know, like, some teams just have issues against certain heroes, right? There's just... They don't know how to handle a bounty hunter or something, or they don't know how to handle a techies is a prime example.
Or they just don't want to.
Yeah, so it's often something where you'll see teams kind of play around banning specific heroes. That's actually something else we could see picked up here. Dilecom could run that Tusk techies lane, although I'm not sure if that's what they will pick up here. But talking about the Lion pick a little, he's really fantastic against both the Storm and the Tusk. It's kind of, if you go on the Winter Wyvern to ensure that he doesn't get the Winter's Cursed off, Lion has a lot of follow-up to crowd control everybody coming out of the Snowball, and vice versa. And it's that Lina that we were just discussing.
Yeah. Lina is going to be coming out, so Finger versus Laguna, of course, we've seen situations in the past where Lion he's a support, and he has to buy the wards, he gets his Blink Dagger, that doesn't give him any health, and once Lina gets an Ags, Lion is just food. It's just like, press R, delete Lion.
Yeah, definitely a rough time there, but I think a great hero against the Storm, if you can try to run him as a pair with somebody else when you get to that mid-game part where Storm's zipping around so effectively, it might be the right thing to do. And E-Wolves also now looking for a mid, and there's still the Leshrac in the pool. Not sure if I'm missing something. I think Leshrac would be fine here. He's got a lot of good ways to deal with people zipping on him.
Leshrac would be great anywhere, and okay. No Leshrac for them. They are really not gonna do it. Like they are just now. They could, yeah.
Too, and they can run the Windrunner in the off lane, but with a partner, because she can't really solo these days. But at the same time, maybe they just don't want to have the Leshrac in this game, and at this point, Dilecom really can't pick up the Leshrac unless they wanted him as a support. I mean, they could also 2-on-2. It's not great.
10 seconds remaining.
It's all super greedy if you try to do any of those 3 core lineups. But yeah, Dilecom probably just going to pick up a strong support. As we mentioned, Bounty Hunter already in the pool, but Bounty Hunter might make their lanes really weak. Maybe better to pick up the Dazzle or the Witch Doctor here to make sure that your lanes can stay alive and get some good slay going on in them.
Yeah, and Dazzle is going to be that support to kind of back them up. They'll get the extra armor from it as well, which is going to help them a lot against the Windrunner. That's something that a lot of people don't really think of against Windrunner, but really, what else are you going to do? You're not going to BKB. BKB doesn't even matter.
Yeah, it's extra armor. It's the fact that if somebody gets shackled, you can be there with that shallow grave. The heal, also, you can do snowball into a heal. Don't really see that much, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, now we've got bans, and Yeah, maybe. Yeah, Huskar. Actually, kind of odd that they banned the Huskar here. Not what I was expecting. I was expecting them to ban a support, so that means that eWolves thinks the Lina might be a support and that they don't have enough to deal with Huskar on their team. So the other thing that I think is pretty interesting is Dilecom might be worried about an Axe coming out. If they can make the Axe lane against the Tusk, the Axe does have a bit of a rough time since it just depends on the player's skill. So eWolves could run an Axe, which would help with that Dazzle Shallow Grave, but not... that lane just depends on skill then, right? With those perfectly placed ice shards, you're at a disadvantage just Axe in that lane.
Yeah, definitely, and you've got to really be careful. And of course, like last night, we could see a Force Staff come out, and Axe doesn't care about the shards.
Yeah, that was a really nice play, and really nice way to early on not worry too much.
10 seconds remaining.
Clockwork is also still in the pool, and while he's not the best against Storm Spirit, he can definitely help early game at least, shut down Alina and do some dealing with the Dazzle, because with those battery assaults, it becomes hard to get your spells off, so... But not sure which one of these two offlaners will get. And of course, they still are open to run 2-on-2. I just think it would be very greedy
10 seconds remaining.
to try and run another core.
Yeah. And
5 seconds remaining.
that could get pretty scary.
It's the
Doom! Whoa!
Oh, what a hero. We haven't seen this guy in what feels like years.
Is this a new hero? I've never seen this hero before in my life.
Yeah,
Doom.
so Doom kind of got some nerfs. He
Some
actually
nerfs? No, they chopped him into the ground, I honestly think. He's good, but part of the problem against him, okay, is some of the newer things. So, Silver Edge actually doesn't do anything to... I'm sorry. Let me just go back here. I meant, Lotus Orb can really just say, oh, okay, no, you're doomed. How's it feel, buddy? But, okay, Wraith King for Dilecom. Now, we've seen Ben has play this hero before, which makes me assume it is going to be support Lina, offlane Tusk, because Ben has plays carry. He does not play anything else.
Yeah, and it can be a really nice way to deal with the Doom, because the Doom, if he does decide to Doom the Wraith King, of course he has 2 lives, his most likely target for Dooming will be Storm Spirit. Storm Spirit will pick up that Linken's, such that Doom will have to use the level death, and then by the time because Doom has a huge cost animation, by the time he can actually Doom, the Storm will have zipped away, because he has to cost level death and Doom. So probably going to be a bit of a rough game for Doom, but we'll see how this goes.
Yeah.
At least it's an interesting pick. Doom really not... As you mentioned, took quite a bit of nerfs.
5 seconds
not
remaining.
a super popular hero anymore. But certainly an interesting way to deal with these heavy spellcasters. And if he can get an early Ags, it's always a very powerful hero.
Yeah. We will see a quick pause coming out as both teams have players missing. I never get this. Like, when they're drafting, do the players just say, okay, you draft, I'll be back in like 20 minutes?
Yeah, I think some teams have different ideas. A lot of teams have different ways that they deal with the drafter. We've seen teams where it's literally just one person drafting with barely any other input, and then you have teams where everyone chimes in. But you also have, I think, situations where, especially in these online games, folks say, oh, pick me one of these 5 heroes, and then they just go to the bathroom or something, or maybe they're having connection issues. So, but yeah, lots of different teams with lots of different ways that they handle drafting. So I think the most famous example is in one of the TIs, there's a photo of Loda on like the other end of the booth as the entire team. The entire team's drafting except for Loda. So.
Okay.
But yeah.
It's interesting. I just wonder why, like, at least be at your computer, because for those of us that are, I mean, maybe he has to go to the bathroom, but I'm just like, okay, in a year now, you want to come back and pick a hero. Or maybe he's gotten back and he's just like, I'm not playing Lina. No way.
Yes. I imagine sometimes maybe that happens where, you know...
That's why I'd stay at my computer like, what did you say? You're going to draft Phoenix for me? You do not want to do that. You really don't.
But ultimately it does come down to what the captain drafts. Most of these players, I imagine, have at least a proficiency on all heroes, so not too big of a problem. But yeah, just waiting for Lina to load in. probably just got some other problems going on here.
Yeah.
And we're gonna see, maybe eventually. It's been a bit of a pause. Not quite sure what's going down. But most of the Radiant is loaded in, so at least we know what's going on there.
And yeah, hopefully they're gonna come on in here. I'm sorry, I'm not speaking in complete sentences right now, am I, Llama?
Oh, it's okay. I generally understand. Apparently the overlay is still on.
Oh, the overlay, that's why we're waiting. Just kidding.
Yes.
I mean, every time we do have a long pause like this, until I'm actually in the game doing it, I forget to change the overlay, but good point, guys. Yeah, the overlay is definitely still on. I tabbed out, because, you know, pause.
Yeah. But
so,
I think let's just kind of break down their teams a little bit more.
Yeah.
Something that will be interesting to see is how well, obviously Lincoln's will be pretty nice to pick up against E-Wolves, because they have a lot of single target spells, which are pretty powerful. You mentioned the Lotus Orb earlier. I like the idea of a Lotus Orb, and I imagine maybe someone will get it, but I think it's a bit difficult in execution way, just to make sure that you get it off before you actually get doomed and can't use it. The interesting thing for me will be seeing who they decide to use as the Winter's Curse target and how E-Wolves is able to get them to group up, because without someone like a Darkseer, it is very hard to get those, you know, even those 3-man Winter's Curses.
Yeah.
It's not got a huge range, and generally that's why we'll see Wolverine go something like a Blink to enable that she gets into range of it. But it's not great, is the way to say that. And the other thing I worry about is both of the supports on E-Wolves, you can kind of stack your Winter Wolverine a bit more, but Lion wants a Blink as well. And I understand that Bloodseeker can come online a lot earlier, as can Windrunner, right? They can move around and fight, but without the Blink, I don't know how well this Lion is going to be contributing to fights, and I worry the Storm will get online before either the Wolverine or the Lion get their Blinks up.
Yeah, that's going to be an issue, for sure.
Yeah. But
I mean, Storm basically has a free extra range Blink that costs a lot of mana. But just because it costs a lot of mana doesn't mean it's not useful, of course.
Yeah. The other thing to mention is that I think perhaps they picked up the Doom just in hopes of dealing with all these spellcasters. You already mentioned all the nerfs, a lot of the nerfs being to that spell Doom, where a lot of reduced damage and the break on passives no longer being applied without the Aghanim Scepter. But I don't know, like, I would have said normally you have to rush Ags, but as you were kind of pointing out, there aren't a lot of passives on this team that I'm super worried about.
Yeah.
Like, there's the Mortal Strike and the Vampiric Aura. I don't care if we're already worried about that, so he might actually rush Refresher, which isn't very standard, right? It's going to be hard to cast Double Doom.
Yeah, it's going to do a lot of damage, but the duration only increases by a second, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And that's not enough to warrant. It's like, oh no, Storm will be silenced one more second. Okay,
well, it can be. A second is a long time. But
if he's not dead by then, he's probably not going to die with another second.
Yeah, and it'll just be a matter of seeing what they prioritize and how much farm he can get. They're running this offlane Doom, it looks like. He just might not get any farm. Now, Lina is... Oh, do you want to introduce the teams now?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that now that we're moving. We've got Nightmare on the Lina, El Duke, let's say, on the Tusk over here for Dilecom. We'll have Wraith King in the safe lane played by Benhaz, who still refuses to have an actual name. And Leo Style will be on your Storm Spirit, followed up by the one, the only Jericho on Dazzle.
Yeah, and then on E-Wolves, we have Zenderil on that Winter Wolverine. Jokes on Lion. I actually think that's what he's meant to be, like, sponsored by Jokes, so it might be FTD.
Yeah. His sponsor's a total joke, Llama.
Yeah, and then Karateka on Windrunner. Doom being played by Annie. And finally, I know I missed someone. Bloodseeker is on... Oh gosh, it's Pulp. He has many E-Wolves around.
He's all about the E-Wolves
Yeah.
there. He's showing his team spirit.
Yeah. But
And of course, I'm Esper Evolution 5, joined here by Llama.
Llama down under. Anyway, we already in.
Yes.
Storm kind of taking that first wave in a more dominating fashion than I would expect of level 1 heroes facing out each other. But yeah, he just doing a bit better than the Wind Ranger in this mid, and we'll have to keep an eye on that because he shouldn't have had so much of an advantage there, I feel like. Oh, she misses the power shot, unfortunately. She actually hit it, just level 1. I'm not the brightest. Anyway, moving right back along.
There we go. I was just editing the overlay because I just had you as Llama on the overlay, and yeah.
Cool.
Production value at its finest right here.
Yeah, no worries. But we've got Doom. Actually, they're running him solo. I'm really surprised at this, and I'm also really surprised. I mean, I guess it's hard for them to kill him.
That's the only thing he's got, though. Like, this physical damage is going to do a lot to him. He only has the 3 armor to work with, and you can see even Dazzle right-clicks him hard enough to make him say, okay, I have to back up, and he actually doesn't have regen now.
Yeah, that was another of the nerfs to Doom. His armor is always just really low, so...
And before Doom starts with, like, -5 armor.
Yeah,
I mean, if he does next patch, they would just... There'd be nothing he could do at that point.
And really rough for him. He actually has to just use the bounty rune to get level 2, and he might jungle. He might just devour a creep hoping to get some regen, and gold up, but...
I'm a little surprised he didn't look for something like the Satyr. The Satyr is up here. Whoops, sorry about that. Yeah, we actually do see Bloodseeker at relatively high speed. He's going to be able to chase down Duke as well. Although Snowball will delay it, but he still has that high movement speed to be able to move around. So meanwhile, mid lane, Leostyle taking a lot of damage. We've got the Doom rotating in, and Leostyle is in a lot of trouble. He will throw down enough damage to help bring down the Doom, but it is split among assists, and Jericho is going to TP in. I believe he gets the assist for that as well.
Yeah, what was nice was that he got the stun off, and because Doom had been having such a rough time, he ate the Centaur, he immediately used the stun. Yes, he did die, but Doom was having a rough time, right?
And that gets him level 3.
Dying there was good for him.
Yeah, and the level 3 on him gets him boots. This is huge. I'm actually hoping he goes for Tranquils here. Usually I'm not a huge fan of those on Doom, but in this offlane scenario, he really needs it. Or something regen-ish. Like, if he wants to go for Guardian Greaves, that's fine, but he has to get something.
He will probably go the Tranquils. I think it was just that he didn't quite have enough when he was walking out, and he didn't want to wait. Now, trying to take advantage of these creeps that he knows are around, and he can devour free gold.
Dude, you don't have to get Tranquil Boots if you eat the
specific. He wants to be doing a bit more utility. He's decided that he can't really contest top lane, especially since he's already out of regen.
You know, it's got to be something in the medium camp.
Actually, no, he's just going for another gank on the Storm middle.
Or at least putting on pressure. He knows that Leostyle wants to just dominate his lane. Leostyle's kind of like the Dindy of the South American scene. He wants to win his lane 1v1 and just absolutely crush them. Somebody else comes into his lane, he will try to kill them if he has to. But he's thinking better of it tonight, and he knows that Elite Wolves want to take this team down. I mean, this is kind of the juggernaut of South America at the moment. They've been beating up these other teams, and if you can take it down, it's going to be a big deal. Now, Annie is getting harassed out, should be okay, though, and did end up buying out the Tranquil Boots. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, though, Duke is going to go down. There's not much... Oh, wait! The Salve is actually going to come out here. Bloodseeker trying to chase in. Well, the Light Strike Array hasn't come back through. So yeah, the Snowball.
She did land a Light Strike Array to start.
Oh, yes, that's right.
And they're actually going to take out the...
What?
The Bloodseeker.
And this is where that Blood Rage can kind of be a double-edged sword. It does increase your damage taken. They'll take Lion as well. And just when I was saying that Tusk was not doing well in this lane, he might get a third. I think they will.
It's hard to go on this Wyvern. They're going to back out, realizing they don't have any mana between the two of them. Maybe even Wyvern, if she's lucky, can get a kill out of this, but doesn't look like it. Splinter Boss doesn't manage to hit.
Yeah, but Bloodseeker's actually up now. And since they're both on low health, Bloodseeker has 500 move speed and a good 100 damage to work with. So while they're walking back to the base, Bloodseeker is going to be able to easily farm. In fact, I'd be very surprised if he missed a last hit here.
But that's a really big win for them. They were having a lot of trouble in that lane. The tri-lane kind of taking a lot of advantage. Windrunner gets another kill on Storm. That's his third death, I think? Yeah, that's his third death in 5 minutes. Because she killed him while we were observing the fight bottom.
Is it 5 o'clock in Peru yet? Is it 5 o'clock in Peru yet?
I think it's just a case of everybody's ganking his lane. They're really trying to take really good advantage of the fact that Storm Spirit isn't 6 yet, and he can't zap around, and they're just getting those ganks out before he's 6, trying to keep his net worth down, and doing very well at it.
And you already see this D-Ward coming down just in case. Windrunner will go ahead and focus fire the Lina. Might even be able to get off a shackle. Won't be able to, though. Tried it with the power shot and isn't going to quite connect. They will bottle Lina back up with the Tusk's bottle that he's picked up, but there was a hand of Midas somewhere, right? Wraith King already having that up 6 minutes in, and this is the problem with Doom offlane. You can get farm, sure, but you're not getting much else.
Yeah, and the Wraith King, he can carry quite hard. He has some passive abilities coming out of his hero, which means he can itemize to not have to pick up the lifesteal that a lot of other people do, although I've definitely seen people run double lifesteal on Wraith King. But yeah, definitely I don't think a Bloodseeker carries as well as a Wraith King, and that's something they'll need to be aware of. Windrunner denies the ward there, not quite sure why she bothered. Oh no, the Storm denied it, I guess. Yeah, I don't.
But yeah,
the sentries give no gold.
No anything.
I think they maybe give. I don't even know if they give experience on the sentries. I know
I don't think they
a
do.
Small amount. But I don't know if the sentries do. Anyway, just I guess a little tricky play. But Storm, he, as much as he's having a rough time here, he will be able to recover. They're putting up a couple stacks in Dilecom's jungle, and that'll help the Storm. Plus, once he has that zip around, it'll be much easier for him to escape, especially when you consider that unless he gets shackled, there's not a whole lot of lockdown coming out of E-Wolves.
Yeah, they will have Lion getting a wand right now, it looks like. But E-Wolves, they need to make some more plays. Like, they're doing good, don't get me wrong, but it's not enough at the moment. And
oh yeah, I mean the game's completely even. It's not a case of anybody super ahead. Yes, they've killed the Storm a lot. Yes, their Windrunner's off to a great start, but as you've mentioned already, the Wraith King has that very early Midas, and he's actually doing quite a lot of damage to Doom.
Yeah. Speaking of it, he brings Doom down to 200 health. There's Tranquil Boots are up, and it looks like Doom wants to go for a somewhat late Midas as well. Seeing that Wraith King's got it, it kind of makes sense, but at the same time, I'd like to see something more like a mech or some sort of fighting item. Even a Shadow Blade is fine with me here.
I think it's pretty standard, though, for Doom to go that Midas. While he does have that gold accelerator in Devour, and he does have a bit of AoE with Scorched Earth, actually, he might be in a spot of trouble here if he doesn't play safely, since, getting ready for that Wraithfire Blast, Wraith King is. But yeah, he doesn't have a great way of flash farming. I mean, the Scorched Earth doesn't do a lot of damage, so I do like the Midas.
Oh, but it snowballs in, and they do manage to dodge the Light Strike away. Tusk is going to go down here. Leo Style tries to make something happen, but he has no mana. And now that he's completely out of mana, Bloodseeker's just like, I am so fast, I can literally run circles around you. They go after Nightmare. They will get him diving the tower nonetheless, and it looks like he will be fine here. In fact, Lion has a salve for him to keep him up. So he's going to tell Lion that the flayed ones will keep him safe. Whatever that means in Bloodseeker's weird jungle cult thing.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate that Dilecom trying to get their Storm involved in a kill down bottom, but that's just, again, it's one of those fights that you just have to know. A lot of teams, it's similar to in pubs, people ask for their mid to gank or whatever, but when you're trying to gank a lane, you should never go into a situation where you might be at the disadvantage. If they have three heroes there, you should bring 4. If they have 2, you should bring at least 3, you see where I'm going. And there, they tried to run into a 3v3 that had been doing a bit better, and the Windrunner easily TP'd down there and then was helping them out. So you're going into a blind 3v4, it just didn't make a lot of sense coming out of Dilecom. But it is the first game, and I do think that their carries will work a little bit better in that Storm Spirit being such an awesome late game carry. We've got a little engagement on bottom. Lina has been ruptured, and as she's taking the Arctic burn, she's making sure not to move. She might get put. Oh, she just gets power shot.
Yeah, if you stand still.
They're going in on Tusk. They're just going in on him. They've got the stun. Tusk is gonna also take the blood right. A nice shackle as well. But he snowballs right before the blood right goes off, and he's got his ward down. He's got his little sigil, but he rolls all the way in. Don't know if that's the way you want it to go, Tusk, and he's going to take a lot of damage on the way out.
He'll get healed. There's a grave. Oh, but they can't get the grave off. The shackle comes through and the doom. Jericho is now going to be falling. Wraith King is in here deep, but they've saved him for last. They know, hey, you've got 2 lives, buddy. We'll run through those back to back, you know. It's the warm-up life, and now the real one. The Hex, he's dead.
Yeah, this Sentinel Stomp's really doing work. So the 2 things that were beautiful there is the Shackle, as Dazzle was casting the Shallow Grave, came out, which of course really helped them out. Otherwise they would have had to deal with Tusk, who would have just been causing them to expend a lot of energy, killing him, and the Wraith King could have come in earlier. But again, just what felt like another misplay coming out of Dilecom. They're going into a situation where they didn't have the advantage, and then they take a lot of damage, right? They're trying to save Alina, who's already dead. Just let her die. She's ruptured. Does it really matter? So, seems like a bit of a couple misplays coming out of Dilecom.
Yeah, and we will see Storm picking up his Soul Ring right now. They don't have as much as you'd expect to see on Leo Style, but that's, again, he's 0-4 on Leo Style. This is the guy who is just a monster of a mid laner, and Windrunner actually going for a Shadow Blade. Oh no. You know what this is? They're just like, okay, Storm, you're having a rough time. You want to go to the jungle, you want to farm up, we're coming. We're coming for you, we're going to kill you over and over.
Yeah, it's an interesting pickup. I'm not sure if I like it more than the Blink. The only thing I can think of is that perhaps they want to actually use that break on someone, but I can't imagine why. There's not really a great, as we've mentioned already, there aren't really great passives. A little bit surprised by the Shadow Blade over the Blink, because I think the Blink is
it doesn't turn off reincarnation for the duration, does it?
No.
Okay, as the Jericho's...
He does manage to get off the TP and the Light Strike Array, so he's going to be fine. And that's what I mean.
But that does force them to not have Dazzle in the fight right now. So they know they can push this tower. Dazzle just TP'd back. Storm's been farming the jungle, and he's got half mana, but it's not full mana, and Line is coming around. If Storm hasn't seen him, yeah, there's no vision on him for Storm, so actually an excellently timed play from the Lion there. As he gets a very aggressive ward up, and Doom will get that Midas at 12 minutes too. Not bad, honestly, it works.
Yeah, it's fine. It's a catch-up Midas, one could argue, but I think it's still fine timing. I actually still really don't like the Shadow Blade. I think the Blink is superior in a lot of ways. Maybe they're worried that maybe they just want to really hurt the economy of Dilecom, because the other issue with the Shadow Blade is you generally use you not only do you use the Shadow Blade for being sneaky, but you want the plus damage that comes out of it. But when you shackle immediately out of Shadow Blade, you lose that plus damage, of course. So it's not quite something that makes sense. And even though they had picked off, or they'd forced the Dazzle home here, since they can't actually see the rest of Dilecom on the map, E-Wolves didn't feel comfortable pushing this mid with just Windrunner. You
have to know where that Storm Spirit is, otherwise he will kill you. I mean, he doesn't have items, but we've talked about Leo Style as a player, and he is the kind of player who doesn't really need items to kill you. He just needs to have the mouse in his hand, you know?
Yeah, and it's just, I'm not a super big fan of this. Yeah, I'm still hopping on the Shadow Blade, but moving right along.
It's okay, but it's not our best choice.
Even though Storm Spirit's behind, I don't actually think they're super worried about him right now. Yes, he can cause a bit of chaos, but he doesn't have enough mana pool to do too much zipping. They, I think, assume that he's in his jungle.
Double damage, Envious Tusk on the bot lane. He'll get a big punch off into the Bloodseeker, who will Blade Mail. It's not going to be enough. They'll actually Winter's Curse a creep just to hold them there. Getting Doom into the fight. He dooms the Dazzle, but he may fall himself. Nice 3-man War Stomp. As he's trying to stay alive, he will end up falling. But the Shackle from Karateka! He's gonna find them both. There's a 2-man Earth Spike. Just not enough damage coming out right now. Windrunner does have that Shadow Blade if she wants to try and look for this Storm. Now, the Rupture coming out from the Bloodseeker. Tusk will just snowball himself, but he is in a little too deep, and he can't just walk away from this one. He'll end up going down, so it's a 1-for-1 trade at the moment. As Nightmare
Beautiful
will make
shadow.
a second. It was like 3 hits from the Storm Spirit with, or the
Radiant's top
Bloodseeker.
tower
Why did
is
I?
under attack.
Never mind. The Bloodseeker with that shackle.
Dude,
Sorry, I got a
that
little
was
mixed
finally-
up.
That was finally a good fight from Dilecom. Also really nice to force that early buyback. Damages the economy of Bloodseeker a little bit. But as we saw, the Storm not doing as much as you might worry about a Storm doing. He does manage to get the push on mid, but he's going to get shackled and just
Oh,
throw it
no.
down. He doesn't have enough mana, and they just power shot him down.
He does
So-
have 18, did have 1800 in the bank,
Radiant's
but
middle tower
still not
is
opting to
under
buy
attack.
out yet, which I'm a little surprised because Orchid is an excellent item against this team. Yeah, you need the health from Bloodstone, but the fact that you can get Orchid and you can stop Windrunner, Storm, or Windrunner, Wyvern, Lion, and Doom from doing most of their damage in a fight is a huge deal.
Yeah, there's... It's going to be interesting. I'm wondering if Doom is going to reveal whether... I assume... On Doom, I assume he's going the Ags. A lot of people talk about how it's kind of super necessary. You can't really go without it. But
it's only really disabling Fiery Soul and some Wraith King passes.
Well, it also it buffs the damage. It buffs, as we mentioned already, the duration. Doom actually just kind of walking up to Wraith King, just chillaxing. But I'm not so sure, or maybe he's just hoarding gold because you can do that. He might want the blink before he wants the Ags, which is pretty common as well. Although the cost point on Doom makes it really hard to get off on a Storm if the Storm isn't playing asleep. He should be able to zip, I think. But yeah, that is all interesting. We've definitely got, we're at a like 3,000 gold lead. E-Wolves hasn't pulled away
Dire's
yet,
top tower
but
is under
I think
attack.
if they can just continue having their team farm up around the map, trying to make sure that they're stacking the jungle when they need to, which they're doing, stacking Ancients, keeping this good ward vision up. You've seen them doing a lot of dewarding, unfortunately missing wards out of Dilecom quite a bit.
And
But
Dilecom missing a ward too right here at the moment.
yeah, they also tried to get a smoke gank, but haven't found anyone.
They know Windrunner's here though, but do they have detection? Please tell me they have detection. Yep, they have a sentry.
So I believe they have.
Oh, but they're in too deep!
Way too deep. She should be able to get a shackle here. She does.
Oh, dear.
On the Tusk. And they use the Winter's Curse coming out on poor Dazzle, who gets beaten up by his own Tusk, and they're both going to go down. And the Doom on Lina, you know, she's just going to slowly be auto-attacked down. So a really bad engagement from Dilecom, just diving way too deep against a team that has the counters, right? If they all TP,
Yeah.
they have a lot of things to lock you down when you're grouped up diving them.
And this secures Doom a blink right now. Storm Spirit does go for the Bloodstone parts. It's not too surprising, but at the same time, I still say that Orchid is really good here. So,
Yeah, I think it's just the case of you really do need all of that mana, and it helps you to tank up a bit. I agree that the Orchid is really nice in general.
Yep, Windrunner taking down Leo Style in the bot lane.
Yeah.
And that's a godlike Windrunner. This is the point where, and she doesn't even have Axe. Like, this is the point where I'm like, okay team, who fed the Windrunner? Just raise your hand, and we'll report you, and we'll move on.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate that Windrunner, well, she's playing very well, but Storm is also being out of position. He has to know by now that she has the Shadow Blade. I'm actually surprised that it's working so well. As mentioned, would prefer the blink. There might be something to do with how she appears more suddenly makes it harder to blink away. Actually, Doom may be looking to go up on Wraith King. He's chilling, and he's waiting
He's got
for the
his
blink.
blink. Yeah, there is an ult up on Wraith King though, so they can't engage on him with just these two and
But
expect to do much.
They should know it's a pretty long cooldown because it's still only a level 2 ult.
Yeah.
Wraith King's ult very long until you get it to that max level, and so it can be worth it just to use your spells to pop it to make sure that in the next team fight Wraith King needs to play a lot more passively. So
Yeah.
not uncommon to play that way.
Indeed. Nightmare is going to be moving down toward the bot lane right now. We will see Dazzle grouping up, but there is a smoke out from Elite Wolves that's going to sandwich them in here. So as long as Karateka, I don't know how to say this guy's name, to be honest. As long as he doesn't give up, yeah, Karateka.
They
But,
can
yeah.
scout him with this sigil, so they know he's here. He does
The shackle!
amazing shackle, but
Here's the whole team! They're coming in from the back! They get the Winter Wyvern ult off! Windrunner stays alive just barely as they take down 2. Jericho will grade himself, but that's all he can do at this point. Annie is still tanking up in this fight, and Jericho will end up falling. Karateka just uses the Shadow Blade and says, what are you gonna do? Your whole team is dead, and Wraith King once again saved us that midnight snack. Just last one left. They lose the ult, and they'll lose the Wraith King as well. As the Shackle comes out, and there's nothing he can do. Meanwhile, there's creeps pushing into the top tower. A beautiful, beautiful play by Elite Wolves. And I will say, Llama, this is a play where the Shadow Blade is definitely superior to the Blink. If you had Blink there, sure, you're hiding under your tower, but they see you with Sigil, they snowball in, and your team doesn't have time to get there. With the Shadow Blade, they're just hiding under the tower, and there's a good 15 seconds where Windrunner's like, I'm still here. I'm buying myself
they should have
time.
brought sentries, that's the issue. With the Blink, she could have blunk away deeper into the forest where they can't really touch her. With the heroes they have, the Storm would have to zip and expend a lot. With the Shadow Blade, yes, she can be sneaky. She got out of one of those situations where she was being attacked a little bit better. But
now, they did get one sentry down, but the problem is, again, under the tower, you place a sentry, she knows. Instantly.
Yeah, but at that point you're already in a pickle. If they're under your tower and they're placing sentries under it, you're usually going down. But I think it's, it is working out this game, so it is what it is. And she's managing to get off that great positioning with it and has the full Ags now on that Windrunner, so she's going to probably pick off this Lina as well if she can just find her.
Yeah, and
Shadowblade running a bit low.
Sanjinyasha as well.
Doom she's
sitting
gonna
on a
right
blink
into Wraith King, who might be a
3,200.
juicier target. Oh, she decides just to back out.
She knows Lina's here, I think.
Yeah, she was just stalking Lina.
Okay, yeah.
So.
If Lina wasn't there, I would have said go ahead and ult the Wraith King, especially since his ult is down, but he does have that Blade Mail now, a nice item to have against the Windrunner, but it isn't enough, because she's got... she has more health than the Wraith King. This is kind of ridiculous now.
Yeah, it's always amusing how tanky Windrunner gets just because you have to go that Ag's first item now with some tweaks that the heroes had.
Or
but
second
let's
item,
talk a little bit about Dilecom and what Dilecom needs to do to get back into this game, because it's not like they're all the way out, right? I really do think Wraith King can become a great carry. It is looking scary for him because he's going to be losing a lot of his damage and so on, dealing with, Doom buying a Mystic Staff, so maybe just going that Shiva's, ignoring the Ags altogether, but I think...
Could even be a Sheep Stick, though. You have to keep in mind, Storm is on the enemy team. Having that instant lockdown for him is even faster than the Doom. So... yeah,
there's a variety of items it could
be. It is going to be Shiva's, though. I just saw a recipe picked up. Yep.
Yeah. So, I think Dilecom could do a really good job of... if they just play more passively, they have to give up some more towers, right? They're going to have to give up this mid tower. They might have to give up another tower. But if they can stall the game out so that the Wraith King can get a lot of farm and do some of those really sneaky ganks where maybe you show the Wraith King up in front. Actually, they know the Lion... oh, maybe they don't know the Lion blunt forwards. But anyway, if you show the Wraith King up in front and you can kind of have the Storm and the Tusk behind ready to jump in and save him, you can bait your Wraith King quite well. And some of those types of ganks where, maybe Windrunner will come or Bloodseeker will come thinking he can solo this Wraith King, and instead you're using him as bait. I think those types of ganks are necessary coming out of Dilecom.
Yeah, and that's one other thing. Like, with the Windrunner, you saw in that moment where she got the great shackle off on Wraith King, and it seems like, okay, let's kill him. Well, not exactly. Because you've got to actually make it through there. You've got to keep in mind that the enemy team is going to come. They actually spot out that Roche right there with the edge of the power shot, I believe. So...
yeah, and that's actually one of those surprising... oh, we've got...
FTD is in way too deep.
Yeah, picked up an Invis rune, and they know your Windrunner has...
but the Rupture's already down. They got Nightmare. He is dead and couldn't do anything about it since he already used most of his stuff onto that Lion. Plop will be in a bit of trouble, but the Doom, it's going to come out on Storm, and Annie is just not afraid. Just going to walk in here. Will get stunned, but not too afraid as Jericho gets Winter's Curse. They keep Benhaz in place for a moment here as Zendrils is now dominating. They even bring down the Storm Spirit. It's an outright disaster for Dilecom.
And wipe. Even though he's very close to his tower, they will stop. Oh, he does get the immediate respawn blink. So, what happened there? Part of why that fight went so poorly is Wraith King blinked in to start doing some work. And he got immediately shackled. He blunk in, Windrunner just let the shackle fly. And he was stunned. And it's actually really surprising. Wraith King's gone a Blade Mail. He needs a BKB. Their team is locking you down. Yes, it doesn't help against the Winter's Curse or the Doom, but I still think it's necessary. You've got to play a little bit back. Your team, maybe the Tusk helps you guys go in and get that stun in, or you blink in and throw out your stun first. Try to stay alive to use the BKB on that second life. But he's just playing a bit too aggressively, and having that Blade Mail, it just isn't doing enough work. He's dying too quickly.
Yeah, it's a serious issue at the moment, so
Radiant's bottom tower is under
gotta be
attack.
very careful here.
Now, oh, he actually does decide to go and pops that Blade Mail. Storm zips in, but again, shackled! Nice snowball, though, but they're going to be able to pick one off, and now Doom's working on killing Tusk, who's taking a lot of damage again. Dazzle does shallow grave him, but Doom's just going to chase him down. He can blink forwards if he likes, and instead it's the Lion who blinks forwards, gets immediately Medallion, but he doesn't care. Even if he dies, he's happy to get that kill, and he doesn't. He's just fine. Lena's going to come back in and just just Dragon Slave and the heal with the Shadow Wave, but Doom's gonna take care of the buying back Lena, and yeah, Shivas, so he can just walk away.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, I've just been told about a
Dire's top tower is under attack.
mic issue, so I am going to fix this right now.
Right.
Shout out to Peter for that. I'm not seeing the setting.
I will just talk.
Yeah, I'll figure this out. I'm still controlling camera, don't worry.
So again, another example of we see Dilecom just kind of playing too aggressively. I'm not quite sure what Wraith King was thinking there blinking in when he doesn't have a BKB. Yes, you've got a second life, but you really didn't get nearly enough accomplished. Okay, yes, the Bloodseeker did die, but your team lost out, your team wasted buybacks. I think he needs that BKB, maybe even as silly as it sounds, a Lincoln Sphere, because you know you're going to jump in and get immediately Winter's Cursed. And if you do the BKB and the Lincoln Sphere, you're definitely going to take either the Winter's Curse or the Doom with that Lincoln's. Just because of the BKB, they can't cast spells on new interaction. So, that I think could be a nice play. But of course, you don't want to have to go the Lincolns as Wraith King. You're hoping maybe one of your teammates will be generous and buy it for you. But they're also poor on Dilecom. If we look at the net worth, we've got 3 members of Dilecom being the bottom 3. You know, a Winter Wolverine, who's that sacked support, is doing just fine on the side of E-Wolves. I think she's saving up for a blink, which is going to cause more grief. Oh, you've gotten really quiet all of a sudden?
Okay, 1 second.
I don't know how you sound on stream, though. You might just be quiet to me. But I will continue
How about
talking.
now?
Yeah, you sound good again.
Alright. Hopefully that's good. I couldn't quite find the setting he was mentioning, but happy to be back. Hopefully it sounds good to you guys on the stream. I'll try to check that right now as Leo style is going to be down there. And it seems to be okay. Let me...
So, Dilecom's trying to sneak a Roche, and they might get it, which would be really big for them. But Windrunner is poking her head around, and she walked by a sentry. They know that she's there. They saw her with their ward. She's just gonna ignore the Roche, I think.
They can't really do much about it right now, so they will get the Aegis up on Wraith King. And what I'm assuming is going to be that Basher coming out to him. Although, there's another possibility. Well, actually, he has gone Radiance before on Wraith King. I do specifically remember that.
Yeah, that's actually part of why I was maybe thinking the Windrunner was worried about Blink or something weird, but it doesn't make a lot of sense. It's not like the Wraith King jumps on you, burns you once with Radiance, and you're super worried. Oh goodness, they see the Wraith King who's just standing there with his Blade Mail active. They get ready to do some damage to him. But yeah, he goes the Shackle doesn't latch. They're gonna take
They're
this
focus
out.
firing tower, yeah. And they've already thrown out a power shot just to say, don't come near me, I'm busy killing your tower. And she's going what appears to be for the Death Slow? No, it's a BKB. Okay. Makes a bit more sense, yeah.
Only recognizing that really the only thing that can hurt the Windrunner is they have a couple of stuns and holds, and they don't really have anything that goes through BKB coming out of Dilecom, except for stuff like Medallion and so on, but we don't really care about that in this context. So she's just gonna buy that BKB, and she's invincible. BKB plus Windrun, they can't damage her. So that's always nice to have when you've got that power shot, that focus fire, where you're outputting ridiculous amounts of damage, so...
Yeah. It is gonna be an issue indeed as, well, Bloodseeker is gonna do some damage, but they're just staying as 5 because they have to be careful at this point. And Bloodseeker will have his BKB coming out as well, and that is Lion's Glimmer Cape on the way too. So big items coming up for E-Wolves in a match that Dilecom was heavily favored to win, in my opinion.
I think also we've got this issue of they're 15,000 gold ahead. You mentioned they have to be a bit careful. Really, all they have to be careful about is not giving up those frivolous kills and making them revenge. Oh, Wraith King goes in! And the weave! He's trying to use that Blade Mail and Doom, taking a lot of damage within Glimmer Capes, and they don't have detection.
He's trying to use an ult here, as actually Bloodseeker will get into the back lines anyway. Wraith King not able to ward them off enough, as he will take some damage. The Luna coming out now, and they do pick off a couple, but it's only 2 dead for the side of E-Wolves right now, and that Glimmer Cape is doing so much work. They'll stun up Wraith King, but they're being rather careful not to actually kill him off until they're sure his mana is gone, and he won't be able to use that ult right now. That's the Aegis popping. It's a little longer. He will blink after Bloodseeker, but of course, Bloodseeker long gone at that point.
Yeah, really nice usage there, making sure to use the Aegis there by sucking the mana out of Wraith King. And even though this fight went pretty south for Dilecom, it's going to be positive for them. But again, it just strikes me as weird that they don't seem to have much invis detection coming out. Yes, they've got a couple of sentries, but I don't see any dust on anybody on Dilecom. You know, we've got Glimmer Capes, we've got a Shadow Blade that's been destroying you on this Windrunner.
For a long time. Yeah, you've got a few sentries, but Karateka is gonna find Nightmare here, and he is dead. There was nothing. Lion even blinks forward like, don't worry, I got it. No, not even needed. We're good here.
It's very unfortunate, and just not I think the right pickup for this match. So, but we're gonna see. Dilecom did get a little bit out of that initial engagement. Like, they got, I think, a bit more gold.
FTD actually they're throwing down the silence. They'll get Dazzle, but they don't realize it because he was able to Glimmer Cape away. Somehow this Dazzle has gotten a Glimmer Cape, despite being the lowest net worth on the board. So
I mean, it's a cheap item, but he's in the danger zone still. He's playing with fire. Dazzle knows that they're there because they're wandering right around on top of a ward. So Glimmer Cape actually a super powerful item since we have a lull to talk about it. It's probably going to get a nerf next patch because it just really destroys magic dealing heroes, you know? Like Necro really isn't someone you can pick that well because you can just Glimmer Cape and deal with Necro damage. But something that it's really crucial on supports, because you can use it on your allies, you can often help them escape like we've seen Dazzle do in this match already. And oh goodness, Wraith King actually blunk forwards, I think, hoping to find the real Windrunner, but not something I would have done. I think a bit hasty. Windrunner is all alone up here in mid lane though.
Yeah, we'll Shadowblade around a bit, but that is one of the advantages of having this item. It gives you a little more mobility around the map. And a nice escape. She'll walk into the sentry!
And they're gonna, again...
Yeah. They place another sentry, but the Windrun will bail her out. I mean...
And she's gonna be too far away for the snowball to hit. A nice Glimmer Cape to make sure they don't fall from a tusk, but, yeah.
I mean, with the BKB and the Windrun and the Shadowblade, killing this Windrunner is absolutely insane. Like, they actually have to, like, have a sniper set up across the concourse or whatever. Like, they have to assassinate the Windrunner, basically.
Yeah. So, very rough. Very hard to play against this very, very strong Windrunner. And as we mentioned, we have a snowball in, but the Doom blinks in at the same time. And he dooms up the almost dead Dazzle just to make sure that Shallow Grave doesn't come up. And now they've got Wraith King trying to go on people, but he gets caught by the Winter's Curse and kills off his own tusk. Storm's
but Storm, he's gonna find Windrunner. She BKBs. It's not quite enough damage, but she has the Windrun. She's fighting him. She ends up getting the kill. She'll get Glimmered, and she'll make it away from the Wraith King, who will get stopped right now. Oh my goodness. Karakaka took that fight on 20 HP and just said,
going on. We've got a blood
goodness.
right on the ground. They might just run back in and take out this Wraith King.
Okay,
Bloodseeker thinking he wants to play a bit more
okay,
safely.
She's good. It looked like Windrunner was going to turn around, but Storm's looking for it, but he's not going to find it.
The Glimmer Cape again saving the Winter Wyvern, and you just can't play this way. When you're zipping around like a Storm Spirit like this, you sell your Null Talisman, you buy some dust. It just doesn't make any sense. They could have easily picked off that Winter Wyvern there. But as you mentioned, the exact thing that we talked about before, Windrunner popping Windrunner and BKB, they can't kill her. They can't hit her because they don't have MKBs yet, and they can't burst her with magic damage, which is Storm's other option, so she just stands there and kills him. And she does go the Deso. So,
yeah.
Showing
I like
that
the item. I mean, they almost didn't have enough damage to kill some of Dilecom. So, let's just get a little more damage. Why not?
It's a cheap damage item, actually. Windrunner, she might find Wraith King here. She can definitely land a shackle on him. Instead, she just decides to immediately pick up the Lena, four-shotting her. And this should be a second kill. I'm not sure I'm seeing a way out of it. Doesn't get the immediate blink away, and that's a dead Wraith King. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't call GG something somewhere here.
I mean, for Dilecom, they probably came into this saying, okay, we're going to beat this team. We're a good, solid team. We're the favorites for sure. We shouldn't have a problem here. And they may be taking this time to regroup. The Xandros could be going down, but the Hex, the Doom, the Winter's Curse, don't touch my support. They say, get off of him. He'll get one more right click in there thanks to the Grave from Dazzle, but it'll end up falling to Doom nonetheless. But he's the only casualty here, and there's 4 going down for Dilecom and the rest of the fight that I didn't even see because I was so shocked. Like, they committed so much to trying to save their Storm Spirit that they lost everyone else in the process.
I mean, that's what happens when you're this far behind. And they don't have any way to kind of save the high ground. And I don't think E-Wolves realizes, they know the Storm has no buyback. I don't know if they know about the state of the Wraith King. But they should just end it here. They could really just tier 4s. Windrunner is huge, right? She's 15-0. When was the last time we saw a Windrunner 15-0? And yeah, just definitely a hero that Karateka is very comfortable with and looks to be doing well.
Yeah.
So this is kind of an anticlimactic end. I'm actually surprised Dilecom hasn't called it. I think they'll go for one more last stand. So E-Wolves is going to pull out of the base.
E-Wolves has a 25k gold lead, by the way. So, I mean, we talked about the point of no return last night. This is somewhat worse. So Dilecom are really going to have to rethink their strategy game number 2. And I'm going to go ahead and say, I think the Wraith King was not the pick.
I think there are a lot of issues with the lineup, but the major one being that they didn't destroy the Doom as much as they needed to. The Doom managed to get a Centaur and then come and stun mid and repeatedly kill him. That wasn't in the game plan. This Doom is supposed to be a very weak offlaner, but instead he just successfully grabbed a creep and shut down the Storm Spirit, right? We've got a Storm Spirit whose net worth is 9k 37 minutes into the game. He has a 3-charge Bloodstone and an Ogre Club. They very much successfully shut down this guy, and they did it at the same time as boosting up their offlaner, who was a weak offlaner to begin with. That's really well done on their part. And they managed to just get a very quick Roche for E-Wolves.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very useful Roche as well. This Windrunner hasn't died anyway, and now she can't die. And please shut up, Siri. Sorry, I just laid my elbow on the iPhone, and Siri's like, yes, you need me?
But yeah, we've got Windrunner. She's almost 6-slotted. She just needs those bots. If it goes super late, which I think this game will be over with this push, but if it did go super late, it's something where you might see the Deso replaced. But either way, she's pretty good to go already. Doom pausing, needs to fix his connection or something.
Honestly, I'm not going to say this is a BM pause or anything, but I think it's more of a, excuse me?
Perhaps just some frustration with the state of the game, and yeah.
Okay. Alright, who was it?
Different people have different binds. It's not uncommon. So.
Yeah.
But we've got Doom jumping in. He waits. He actually cancels the Doom cost, and now he's in a bit of trouble. But he has a BKB, and he just wants to Doom. He decides to go for the Storm, but he was thinking about the Dazzle. Glimmer Cape's coming out. Winter Wyvern does get picked off by the Wraith King, but Windrunner's just saying, I don't really care about what my team's doing. I'm just gonna finish taking this Rax with my Focus Fire. So she gets that. In the back lines, they're actually still picking off the rest of Dilecom, but Doom, they finally manage to take down this huge Doom, getting 1,000 gold. Lion should be next. That Radiant's burning him up so he can't blink, but Windrunner's got Mega Creeps for her team, so she doesn't care, and she still has that Aegis. So again, Storm also managing to pick off the Bloodseeker. But again, I don't think Dilecom has the team to deal with Mega Creeps. They have no Lightning Hammers. They don't have super great AoE. Yes, Storm has a little bit, but it's not fantastic. So I'm not sure if that was the trade. They got some kills. They definitely got the net worth swing in this particular kill, right? But losing Rax, losing Mega Creeps?
Yeah. It is not looking good, and it's really just... I mean, you take a good fight, sure, but there's a big difference between taking a good fight and recovering the entire game.
Yeah,
and this isn't League of Legends. They don't respawn. In case anyone doesn't know, they do not respawn.
This is taking a good fight at the expense of your Rax, and the fact that Windrunner still has this Aegis, right? She could go in there for fun. Oh, and she does replace the Shadow Blade with the Blink, actually. Yeah, so, you know, realizing that the Blink's usefulness, or the Shadow Blade's usefulness becomes minimal the later the game goes on and the more people have sight, she does decide to go for that Blink for more positioning. And I do imagine when the Aegis runs out, she'll pick up the bots, replace the Phase, and then maybe replace the Daedalus, the Deso with the Daedalus, or depending on what that 5th item is.
Okay, somehow, Llama, we're being doubled. Give me 1 second here, guys. I'm gonna just try something a little crazy, but I'm gonna just briefly mute Dota and Skype and try to check something. Test, test. Am I being doubled? Let me know.
In the meantime...
Yep, back to the game.
Okay, we've got to jump in on Wraith King, and if he gets put out of position, this is GG. A nice Winter as Curse coming out on Storm Spirit, but Wraith King was CC'd, so he did no damage to him. Wraith King taking a lot of damage, almost getting the Lion, but Lion's going to be healed up by that Cold Embrace, and instead Doom getting tossed out on Storm Spirit, and yeah, that's the call. And Wraith King just GGing and DCing.
Yeah.
So we'll go into game 2. I need a short break. I have to go to the bathroom, but
yeah, I need a snack too. But a very good game 1 and a big upset from Elite Wolves. Okay, looks like the echo was nothing. It was just Forsty Cup messing up. Blame reported and banned and everything. Kappa. Anyways, once again, thank you guys very much for tuning in. I'm SPRevolution5. I'm joined here by Llama Down Under. You can find us on social media at those names. Don't go anywhere, though, because game number 2 will be coming up in just a moment.